Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Jasviravaditamastu Ma Vitvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. And we will share the screen. There we go, November 30th. Okay, move down there. To move things around a bit. There we are. And our first topic, reaching your inner base camp. Pub desk from January 2026. Hasn't happened yet. So this is the publisher's desk for the coming issue of Hinduism Today. Subtitled, Hinduism offers methods to secure spiritual consciousness by purifying the mind and quieting the thraldom of thought. In speaking about his highest realizations, Padma-Guru Yogaswami once compared his inner climb through the chakras to the outer ascent of the world's tallest peak. He said, I climbed Mount Everest in 3 days. There is nothing. No sun, no moon. Then you come down and there is Dharma, Adharma, and all things. So, of course, he's not talking about the mountain. He's talking about climbing up the chakras. Gurudeva gives this description of that state. Many people think of the realization of timeless, formless, spaceless Parashiva, Nirvikalpa Samadhi, as the most blissful of all blissful states, the opening of the heavens, the descent of the gods, as a moment of supreme, sublime joyousness. Whereas I have found it to be more like cut glass, diamond dust darshan, a psychic surgery, not a blissful experience at all, but really a kind of near-death experience resulting in total transformation. The bliss that is often taught as a final attainment is actually another attainment, Sat-Chit Ananda, an aftermath of Nirvikalpa Samadhi and a before-math. This means that Sat-Chit Ananda, Savakalpa Samadhi, may be attained early on by souls pure in heart. It also means that one need not gauge the highest attainment on the basis of bliss, which it transcends. In my experience, the Anahata Chakra, direct cognition, is the resting place of dynamic complacency, of thoughtful perception and quietude. Those of a lower nature arriving in the bloom of this chakra are released from turbulent emotions, conflicting thoughts, and disturbances. This to many is the end of the path, attaining peace or shanti. Once one attains shanti as just described, in my experience, this marks the beginning of the path. Or part 2, the second level. It is from here that the practices of Raja Yoga take hold once shanti is attained. Gurudeva gave an apt description of the Anahata Chakra, the fourth center of consciousness, as a natural resting place on the way to the summit of Parashiva. Let's look more closely at our metaphor, comparing the inner climb through the chakras to the outer climb of Mount Everest. On the Nepal side of the Mount Everest, the last city before the starting point for climbers is Kathmandu. We can compare living in Kathmandu to where individuals are before they start striving to go within, before they even know about the chakras. The consciousness of those living in Kathmandu is centered in the first three chakras. Muladhara, memory. Swadhisthana, reason. Manipura, willpower. So those are the three chakras that people need to use to be successful in the world. When someone becomes a seeker of higher states of consciousness, it is like flying from Kathmandu to the town of Lukla, the first destination for climbers. The trekking route from Lukia to Everest Base Camp is about 40 miles one way, typically completed in 8 to 10 days to allow for acclimatization. The trail passes through several villages before reaching base camp. For our seeker to reach his inner base camp, Anahata Chakra, takes much longer than 8 to 10 days. It requires years of consistent daily sadhana, a journey through purification of the subconscious mind, improving concentration, living dharmically, resolving karmas, and developing a devotional nature. Needless to say, reaching base camp is not the ultimate goal for either our mountaineer or our seeker. For the mountaineer, there are 4 additional camps en route, making a total of 5. It is by trekking from the 5th camp that climbers make the final assault on the summit, which lies at 29,000 feet, Earth's highest altitude above mean sea level. That's really tall, 29,000 feet. In his inner quest, the seeker must learn to stabilize awareness in the Anahata Chakra. So that's the key word, stabilize. In his inner quest, the seeker must learn to stabilize awareness in the Anahata Chakra. Then through Raja Yoga, he attempts the ascent through the next 2 chakras, Vishuddha, divine love, and Ajna, divine sight. If he persists, he reaches the crown chakra, Sarasrara, and realizes Parashiva, the Absolute. Let's explore what is experienced when we function in the Anahata Chakra, our inner base camp. Gurudeva described it as the realm of artists, inventors, creators of all kinds. Each time you design or create anything, you are bringing the beauty of the within through your nerve system into manifestation. Gurudeva said, it is a beautiful place to be, and you can be here all of the time by feeling the power in your spine. The minute you feel that radiant energy, you disconnect from instinctive intellectual consciousness and soar into the 4th dimension. A few minutes of breath control will help you to feel the energy in the spine. Visualize a clear tube in the center of your spine being filled with yellow light. Yellow, that's very important. You're focusing on the yellow light, not light of any other color. Yellow light coming down from the top of your head. Then inwardly see this pure life force flowing through the spine and out into the nerve system. So yellow light flowing down the spine and then out. Gurudeva adds this description. People with the Anahata Chakra awakened are generally well-balanced, content, and self-contained. More often than not, their intellect is highly developed and their reasoning keen. The subtle refinement of their nature makes them extremely intuitive, and what is left of the base instincts and emotions is easily resolved through their powers of intellect. It is important that the serious aspirant gain enough control of his forces and karmas to remain stabilized at the heart center. So there's that word again, stability. It is important that the serious aspirant gain enough control of his forces and karmas to remain stabilized at the heart center. This should be home base to him, and he should rarely or never fall below anahata in consciousness. Only after years of sadhana and transmutation can this be attained, but it must be attained and awareness must settle here firmly before further unfoldment is sought. Gurudeva's statements about the Anahata Chakra fit well with our Mount Everest base camp metaphor. Home base, an inner home base, whereas the climbers seek an outer home base. The initial goal for every seeker is to experience the Anahata Chakra during their morning sadhana vigil and eventually hold that peaceful creative consciousness throughout the day. However, having begun the day in a consciousness of contentment, creativity, and intuition, seekers soon encounter the many ways that inner state can be lost. Here are 6 suggestions on how we can sustain sublime consciousness throughout the day. And that's our first and only question to you. What ways come to your mind? What do we need to do or not do to sustain inner consciousness that we attain in the morning vigil throughout the whole day? Give you another minute. Number 1 of 6, follow Dharma. The foremost requirement is to follow the yamas, Hinduism's ethical restraints. Adharmic actions such as lying and hurting others disturb the mind, roil the emotions, and draw us out into the swirl of external consciousness. 2, avoid contention. Not letting disagreements to turn into arguments is also crucial. Disagreements are natural, but they should be handled in an intelligent and harmonious way, and they should be resolved quickly, not left to fester. We must always be willing to compromise to keep discussions from turning into conflicts. Domestic arguments are the most destabilizing, so compromise. Number 3, limit our needs. Every day we are assaulted by a barrage of advertisements promising greater happiness if we acquire whatever they are promoting. This constant enticement presents a major challenge to sustaining a contented consciousness. Fancy new cars, faster computers, attractive clothes, all promise the ever-elusive state of mind called happiness. We can rise above this false allure by holding the perspective that we are content with what we currently have. If we acquire something more, it will not be because we think it will make us happier, but because it will benefit our family in a meaningful way. 4, be thankful. Gratitude is an important aspect of inner consciousness. A key to nurturing gratitude is giving thanks for all the good things in life. We are grateful for our family and friends, grateful for our job or school, grateful for the home we live in, grateful for the wisdom and practices of our religion. 5, live in the now. The affirmation, I'm all right now, a metaphysical tool that Gurudeva gives us in merging with Siva, is also helpful in sustaining an inner consciousness. It is a way to live in the eternity of the moment where we feel perfect in the now, with no future to worry about and no past to regret. Find inner contentment. When we look at the world as the source of our happiness, life is a constant series of emotional ups and downs. When we derive our contentment from within, life is joyously free of external rewards, and we can share that joy with others. while not everyone consciously aspires to the lofty realization of the higher chakras, Vishuddha, Ajna, and Saraswara, and ultimately the realization of Parashiva, that is in fact the destiny of every soul. For those drawn to the great path in this life, the primary step is to awaken the Anahata chakra during daily vigil and gradually learn to remain centered there throughout the day. For others still preparing for that ascent, simply living from the heart brings a quiet joy, nurturing creativity, deepening compassion, and bringing peace to life's every moment. So a good practice, trying to manifest this idea in your life, experience the Anahata chakra during your vigil and then hold it throughout the day, is to identify when you lose it during the day. And it might be the same type of situation repeating itself multiple days. In that case, you can think about alternative ways to respond to it. Clearly, the way you're responding to it is throwing you off center, moving you downward in consciousness. What are the other ways you could handle the situation that wouldn't cause that to happen? So that's a good practice. And our second topic, as usual, is Path to Shiva. Who is Shiva? I got asked that question recently by a very young person. Who is Shiva? Let's see what the text says. How would you answer that question? Lord Shiva is the supreme being of the universe. Yes, that's very important. Supreme being. So you've heard my answer before. It's the idea that when someone asks me that type of question, who is Lord Shiva, they're generally thinking he's a god among many gods. Maybe they have the Trinity concept, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, or some other concept. Hare Krishna, Shiva is Krishna's foremost devotee. Interesting one. So the answer I give is Hindus all believe in a one supreme being. They just don't agree on the name or nature of that supreme being. So we are of the Saivite denomination, and the supreme being to us, we call the supreme being Shiva. And then in this case, I went on to, because they were sitting in the Guru Peetham, I went on to mention Kadavul and Iravan. So Gurudeva chose those names, which is very unusual, Kadavul, Iravan, for our two temples, ancient Tamil words, but they refer to the supreme being. You see those words in a text and it doesn't necessarily mean Shiva or Vishnu. It means the supreme being. So that's the idea. We have two temples to the supreme being who we call Shiva. He's not one of many gods. Definitely not the destroyer. He, she is all and in all, both the creator and the creation, within everything and beyond everything at the same time. Hard to do. Shiva has a threefold nature. His highest reality is beyond time and form. His second aspect is the divine mind existing here, there, and everywhere. His third aspect is the personal Lord, the creator and source of all time and all form. Only in the deepest meditation can the nature of such a vast and mysterious God be fully known. The name Shiva, the auspicious, gracious, or kindly one. Shiva is the one supreme being that all faiths have worshipped by many names and sought to understand for thousands of years. Shiva has 5 powers: creation, preservation, destruction, and the twin graces of concealment and revelation. He creates the 3 worlds from his own being. It's called emanational creation. And he also preserves the 3 worlds, dancing in each tiny atom at every point in time. Ultimately, he absorbs creation back into himself. He does this in great cycles of time spanning billions of years. Then in the next grand cycle of time, he creates again. Shiva is also the creator of individual souls like us. With his 4th and 5th powers, concealing and revealing, Shiva governs and guides our evolution as a parent guides a child. We should always worship this great God of love and never fear him. He is the self of ourself, closer than our breath. Gurudeva taught, his nature is love, and if you worship him with devotion, you will know love and be loving toward others. Shiva is the sun above us, the wind that cools the land, the 5 elements, the thought within our mind, the spark of light within our body, that which lives and that which is inert. Beyond knowing, beyond gender, he, she is the deathless being who resides beyond the 3 worlds, yet stands in souls united. So very nice, poetic chapter there in Path to Shiva. 3rd topic. Oh, a different one, right. A question here. Does Ganesha actually have an elephant head? That's the question that young people like to ask about Ganesha's elephant head. The 13th question in our booklet, 14 questions, has a comprehensive answer to this question. Why do some Hindu gods have animal features? Answer. In dreams and visions, the inner plane beings have revealed themselves to mankind to be of many forms, expressing many powers. Some appear human and others, like Ganesha, have animal features. So that's the answer. Yes, Ganesha actually has an elephant head. How do we know that? Because rishis, yogis, and even regular devotees have seen Ganesha in that form in visions. That's how we know that. The various gods in Hinduism, wide-ranging traditions, possess distinct personalities and forms based on how they have been seen in visions and how they are depicted in stories and legends. Hindus feel no need to question the fact, for instance, that Lord Ganesha has the head of an elephant. They know he has been seen in this way by rishis and even by ordinary devotees. Did he choose that form to distinguish himself as the Lord of obstacles? No one really knows. That means if you see a deity with an elephant head, you know who it is immediately. Maybe you've had that experience in the temple that you're not familiar with the deities. You have to ask, which deity is that? Because lots of deities look alike, but you never have to ask if it's Lord Ganesha. The important fact is that millions of Hindus worship and receive blessings from the benevolent elephant-faced god every day. Many Hindus seeking an explanation hold that Ganesha is a real being who looks like an elephant. Others believe the elephant form is symbolic. Millions are content with the ancient stories and the Puranas that explain how he came to have an elephant head. Interestingly, and perhaps because of his enduring visage, Ganesha is the most popular of all the Hindu deities. Numerous other Hindu divinities have animal attributes, including Hanuman, Varuna, Kamadhenu, the Nagas, the Vahanas, animal mounts of the gods, and 4 of Vishnu's 10 incarnations, fish, turtle, boar, and half man, half lion. An exploration of other ancient faiths show that Hinduism is not alone in having divinities with animal attributes. The ancient Greeks worshipped the god Pan, who has the hindquarters, legs, and horns of a goat. In Egypt's pantheon, Ra, the sun god, is a falcon-headed man. The Mesoamerican peoples worshipped, excuse my pronunciation on this one, Quetzalcoatl, I think, a feathered serpent. In Japan, where Buddhism and Shintoism are intertwined, Kitsune, the fox, is a powerful shapeshifter who can transform into human or inanimate shapes to trick humans. Many shrines there in Japan are guarded by a pair of magical lion dogs known as the Koma Inu or Shishi. While we are talking about angels in Christianity, sometimes Christians criticize Hinduism because some of its gods have animal heads, such as Lords Ganesha and Hanuman. An effective response is to point out that four-headed angels called cherubims were central in early Christianity. In the Bible's book of Revelation, John writes, "I saw a throne standing in heaven, and the one who was sitting on the throne in the center, grouped around the throne itself, were four animals with many eyes, in front and behind. The first animal was like a lion, the second like a bull, the third animal had a human face, and the fourth animal was like a flying eagle. Each of the four animals had 6 wings." The description matches an account by Jewish prophet Elijah centuries before. Importantly, these beings are the most powerful beings in the pantheon closest to the Creator, cherubim. Here is a more modern-looking version of a cherubim. Oh, lots of animal features there. Over the millennia, worship and awareness of deities with animal features was eclipsed in most cultures as the monotheistic religions grew into prominence. Were these beings mere myth and imagination, as depicted by modern scholars, or were the peoples of ancient times aware of a mystical reality that has been sealed off? In most cultures, the old gods have been put in exile. Only in Hinduism does such worship thrive in unbroken continuity. One might note the obvious fact that Homo sapiens, too, is an animal species, one among many. Oh, thank you very much. Om.